Hey, afternoon, Tim.
Afternoon.
Hey, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. And as agreed, I'd like to ask you for permission to share this video recording online on social media as well as in the classrooms to bring more awareness to coaching from an educational perspective.
Sure, that's fine.
Thank you for that permission. So before we start, I suggest that we take a few deep breaths, center ourselves, and let me know once you are ready.
Okay, I'm good.
Thank you, Tim. So in the time we have today, what would you like to talk about that is of value to you?
So I'm thinking about my business and where it has come so far. I think when we started the business, we set about to help trainers and coaches with a lot of their operational issues. So we started in COVID, where everybody was trying to go online, and we spent a lot of time building that business. Um, running their workshops for them, running their webinars, doing their lead generation for them. Um, and it went well for the first 2 years. And then last year when well, I won't say COVID stopped, but it became it opened up a little bit more, and people were going back more to physical engagements. And it felt like people were going back to business as usual. So we were trying to figure out how to shift our business as well. So last year, it felt like a transition for us. Didn't, we took on some projects, but we didn't really land on something that felt to us like the next big thing, right? So when we started the business, it felt like, this was right. This was what we should be doing. And the whole of last year, when we started running stuff, it was more ad hoc than really what we were focused on doing. And so it feels to me a bit like the business is in some kind of limbo, right? Where we are still taking on projects off and on, but there's no real focus for the business now. I mean, we know we have to shift, but the question was always shift to what? Yeah.
Okay. May I have your permission to reflect back what I hear?
Sure.
Thanks. So I hear a few things. One, you started a business during COVID that could help trainers and coaches. Two, it went well until last year, where more people were going back to physical engagement. Three, it felt like a transition. Um, Four, last year you had more ad hoc um, projects, um, but it didn't land on the next big thing. Five, you feel that the business is like in some kind of limbo. And six, you mentioned you know that you all need to shift, but the question is shift to what? How does that sound, the reflection?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So in our time together today, what would you like to focus on that is significant to you?
I think what concerns me the most is that shift, that transition, right? To something that we can embrace and focus on to build the business to the next level. And I'm not quite seeing it now, right? So we do what we have to do, but I don't I don't feel that there's something that we are doing that's going to elevate our business, right? That's going to push us up. And that troubles me a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. What would be an outcome you hope to achieve at the end of this session?
Well, the ideal outcome would be to find something that excites me, lah, right? That that I think that, like I can take this and run.
Mm. I want to share with your observation. I may be wrong. When you say find something that excites you, there was a wide smile on your face lighted up. I'm just curious, how were you feeling? What's underlying?
Well, it feels like, I mean, if I land on that, then the weight is lifted, right? That I've got something to focus on and run with. I I know myself, right? So I know the way I operate. The moment I have something that I think that works, I'm quite fast to run with it. And the problem is it takes a while for me to get to that point where it becomes clear and I know exactly what I want to do and the way I want to go. And and I don't feel that I'm at that point yet, right? Which is why it troubles me a little bit. And if I get to the point that I can see it and I can kind of visualize it and I can see where it's going and what the end result is, then um, it the journey to get there suddenly becomes a lot more clear for me.
Mm. Okay. Earlier you mentioned that your focus is that your concern most to shift, is that shift to something that you can embrace to build or bring the business to the next level. What makes shifting important to you?
I think it's changing, right? So it's the environment has changed. I mean, I mentioned earlier we talked about business in COVID and now out of it. And also the demands I have changed, right? So we built our business in a time where there's a lot of digital marketing and a lot of push towards that, and it has slowly become less and less effective. So there needs to be other things that need to be done. And as the environment changes, the business needs to change in order to be competitive. We thought the logical conclusion would be that the business fails and we have to close, right? If we are not nimble enough to change. And that is a little bit of the sense that I'm getting. If we can't pivot, if we can't change, if we can't land on something that will propel the business, then the logical conclusion would be to close it down and to go and look at something else, right? Because it won't be sustainable long term.
What's stopping you from shifting?
Nothing. I think we just don't know what to shift to. I think we're okay with shifting. We are quite open to ideas. It's just that every time we sit down and talk, I mean, I have a business partner, right? So every time we sit down and talk, we don't seem to get something that makes sense to the both of us, right?
Mm.
And it hasn't, I mean, we've tried a few things and it hasn't really panned out. So we're trying to figure out, what next then.
What do you think could be causing both of you to not um, be able to come up with it yet?
I don't know. Maybe we are too idealistic. Maybe we think that if we put something into process, it will immediately take off. But maybe we just don't understand the environment enough, right? That's why we're not seeing not seeing that gap that's required in the market. Because I mean, when I started the business, we were hands-on, we were doing a lot of stuff. And the reason why I started the business was because I saw this gap in the market, that demand that people would need this kind of help. And I, and I could see the market straight away. And that's where I pitched it to my business partner, and that's where we pitched it to our first client. Because it it was very clear to me after doing what I was doing that people needed help in these areas. And if people need help in these areas, you need to find somebody who can do the job, right? But I mean, you got to marry it with somebody who's also willing to pay for that services, lah. Some people need the help but are not willing to pay. So I'm looking for the next thing like that, right? Where I can see in the market that there is a gap and I can take that and run with it. But I'm not seeing it at this point in time. Maybe I'm not talking to enough people to find out what's needed in the market. What we used to do is still something that, or what we still do is still something that a lot of trainers and coaches require, right? So I'm working with somebody else for her own training organization. I'm partnering with her, and she needs the kind of help that we provide. So I'm doing her operational stuff. I'm running her programs. I'm creating her marketing collaterals for her. Develop proposals for her, and she needs that kind of help. And so, and these were the things that we used to do for clients, and we're still doing it. So there is a demand in the market, but I'm thinking the demand has dropped significantly. And so in order for the business to be sustainable long term, we also need to do something else. Right? I don't think it's enough just to do one thing.
Okay. So if I want to reflect back, just what I hear, you say maybe could be too idealistic, that's one. Two, maybe don't understand enough the environment. Three, maybe not talking to enough people. And four, you also need to identify something that people need and are willing to pay for.
Yeah.
What are you learning so far as I reflect back what you just said to you?
Well, at least I mean, I'm seeing scenarios where there are possibilities to find out where, if I talk to people, who do I talk to find out information about what's required to support the market? What do people want, right? Perhaps a good starting point would be to connect with more people and find out, talk to them.
Okay. And where can you find these people?
Well, just connect with people. So LinkedIn, I connected a lot of people on LinkedIn. I haven't really reached out to a lot of them. I'm in networking groups, right? So those are good platforms. I've met a few people in the networking platforms. But as we talk, then it's a matter of trying to figure out what is important for them. Yeah.
Yeah, and how would talking to these people help you figure out?
Well, I mean, if they share problems that we can find a solution for, I think that's an ideal situation, right? Um, or as an aggregator, right? So get other people to cover in some of the things that they need, and we provide some of them. Right. So it could be either. I mean, in this world you can't do everything, lah. So collaboration, you need people with different skill sets to come together sometimes to do solutions. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's providing solutions to problems. And if people can see the value for it, then people are oftentimes willing to pay for it, lah. Yeah.
Okay. And earlier you mentioned your outcome is to find something that excites you that you can run with. when you say find something, if you were to know, what makes finding important to you?
It's important because I need a goal, and I need something to build towards. I need something to focus on. If I don't have that, I don't know what I'm building, right? And because of that, you don't really do anything because you're not sure whether you're doing the right thing in the first place. And we try this, try that, but we try a little bit lah. We're not gonna throw money at stuff if we're not sure that's what we want to do, right? But if the idea makes a lot of sense and that's the way we want to go, right, then we'll probably be a lot more invested in building that as a solution for people. So we will run many ideas. I've thought of like LMS platforms, e-learning. I've thought about transforming into a full marketing agency. We've thought about a lot of things that we could do in this space, because we kind of dabble in every single thing, right? And we're not really a specialist in any way, but we can get and so we're wondering whether specializing is a good idea, or collaborating would make more sense, or and so we've tried a few things, but it's never really set well with us.
Okay. So if you were to specialize in a specific area, what would be the benefits and drawback of specializing?
Well, the benefit is depth in what we do, right? So specializing means you are good at something, right? So we invest a bit more time in building up in one specific area. I think right now we are doing a lot of things. I mean, that's also part of the reason why people like to engage us, because we do a lot of things for them rather than just one thing. So you deal one person, but you get a few things done. Specializing means we have a lot more depth and we get a lot more knowledge in what we do. But it may mean that we don't do some of these things for clients. And initially, that's the way we wanted to go because it was taking up a lot of time to do some of the things for clients, right? So building structures for them and systems took up a lot of our time. So we wanted to specialize so that we are more focused rather than all over the place sometimes. So that was a benefit for it. I mean, for that line of thinking. Yeah, but I'm not sure that's the best way to go because everybody does that, right? I mean, right now you've got maybe 3 million digital marketing agencies out there. Everybody wants to be a digital marketer because I think they think it's an easy way to make money. I'm not sure anymore that that's the way people are going. Yeah, the results are getting harder and harder to produce.
What are the drawbacks of specializing?
You limit yourself in terms of your market, right? So instead of being able to do multiple things for clients, because you only limit yourself to one thing, which you could do very well, but there's no unless you have a very unique selling proposition, right? There's probably a lot of competition in those spaces if you specialize. And the question I always ask myself is, why would somebody pick me over somebody else? There needs to be some kind of value, right? And if you're looking at somebody who's done this for 10 years and you just coming into this space unless you have something unique to offer, or a certain experience that you can offer them, it's going to be hard to compete, right? If not, then you got to be cheap. Yeah. And then people are willing to give you a try. I'd rather build something that's a bit more unique. Yeah. Because I do feel that there are things that people need, but probably unable to get, or it may be terribly expensive for them to go and do it. And then a lot of times I feel people sometimes don't even understand what they need or don't need. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing. And in terms of collaborating, what do you think are some benefits of collaboration?
Well, you have access to each other's markets, you have access to each other's knowledge to a certain extent, right? Different ideas, right? Different perspectives always helps. Yeah.
Okay, what are the drawbacks if you were to know?
The main drawback is finding somebody who's reliable, right? Because at the end of the day, it's your reputation at stake as well. Somebody who can deliver results. So it's finding the right partner as well, and making sure that person has certain amount of integrity and ethics and that kind of thing, right? If not, you may lose your entire business, your entire portfolio to somebody else. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing. So Tim, earlier you mentioned finding the things people need, but maybe too expensive for them to get.
Mhm.
So if you were to know what are some of these things?
Um, well, okay, when we first started off, we talked to a few people and we realized that a lot of people need help in certain areas, right? So they need some marketing help, they need to build their funnels, they need to do a lot of these things. But for them, it's like a chicken and egg problem because they are struggling because they don't have all these things built and there's no way to generate leads for themselves. Which means they don't have money to pay for it as well, right? But without that, they'll never be able to launch their programs. So it became a chicken and egg problem. And what we did to try to help them was to do revenue shares, right? So essentially, I work for free until they bring in sales, which didn't work very well because some of them just couldn't close anything in the first place, right? Uh, and so it's a model that I'm a little bit wary of because we tend to work a lot harder than the person who's getting it for. You kind of get stuff for free, right? And then you decide whether you want to work hard enough to sell something or not. And so I do feel that there's a problem sometimes with certain people that we work with, which means we need to be more deliberate in terms of the kind of people we engage with. Yeah. And that's why I feel that there are people who really require our services, but they cannot afford to pay. Yeah. But unless I feel there's a sustainable business model behind them, I'm a bit wary of going on a revenue share model. I'd rather take fees upfront nowadays. Yeah, because I we've been burned a few times and they never delivered anything. Yeah. So it's a lot of effort that doesn't translate into revenue for the company. Yeah.
And how does that make you feel?
Um, honestly, these are lessons to learn, right, in business. I mean, the reason why we went on a revenue share model was also because we wanted to attract more clients. Because I mean, we were new, right? The fact is, we were new and we needed to build a base, and so we need to be attractive in our offer, right? But I guess along the way, we learned that you can't use the same offer for everybody because some people are motivated to they want to build their business, they want to build their programs up, but some people are not, right? Some people, um, if it's convenient, they do it. And then if they close, they close, they don't close, they close. But not everybody in this space is highly motivated, which is also why you see a lot of people struggling. Yeah, because they are I don't know whether it's just this space. I think it's not. It's probably generally our population. They tend to wait for things to happen. And I think we're used to being spoon-fed a lot of things. The government gives us this, gives us that. You know, I remember after taking my ACLP, I had a friend who asked, So now that we got our cert, what's next? Where's the job? So the expectation was, I take the cert, I'm gonna get to train something. And I feel that's the mindset that a lot of people have, which is quite scary. And so when dealing with people, that's my big concern. I mean, I have no problem building stuff for people. I have no problem creating the structure for them, or running their programs for them. But they need to put in an equal amount of effort. If not, this arrangement doesn't work, right? It cannot be one way. It needs to be, in that sense, it needs to be collaborative, right? You work, I work, and then we both succeed together. But I mean, like I said, lessons in business, right? So I've learned along the way that that's going to be a tough model to handle, if we do, revenue sharing and all that kind of thing. Yeah, so I'm quite selective as to who I offer that to nowadays. In most cases, I'll take a fee and a retainer.
Thanks for sharing. So I'm just curious, how is finding this new thing that will excite you to and run with? How's the process of finding this new thing that will excite you and run with different from when you first started the business and you managed to find that gap?
I think the difference is I haven't seen it yet, right? So I'm maybe it's just lack of exposure with whatever's going on in the market. Because I mean, I'm not seeing that new thing for the business. Yeah.
So what would you do differently?
I think you probably need to go back to the market and find out what's going on, right? So talk to people, see which way people are leaning towards, because there's a lot of new stuff, especially along the lines of AI, and now you got AI marketing agencies and all that kind of thing, right? Which at one stage we were quite keen on exploring, because it sounds like a very interesting way the market's moving, and we thought we may want to get involved in that. But that looks like the latest development in the market. So I guess we need to spend some time to look at that, if that's the way we want to go, or any other solution in the market that could possibly fit into what they require, what people require. With any business, I mean, whether it's an individual or a company, I still feel that the most key thing is lead generation, right? So if you don't have people coming to your business or coming in front of you, then no matter how good you are, you're not going to sell anything, right? So that to me is probably the lifeblood of any business. It's the same with coaching. I remember I sat into one of the coaching classes, and somebody asked me, after I got my ACC, right? So then what are you going to do? And I told them, I said, it's simple, right? You got to think of this as a business as well. If you want to run a coaching practice, then it's not just about coaching. It's about finding people who want to engage you as their coach. And that's about marketing yourself, about trying to get yourself out there. You've got to find a way to generate leads. If not, and if you can't do that, if that's not what you want to do, then no, then you can't build a business, right? Maybe it's not for you. Yeah.
Tim, what will it cost you if you do nothing about it?
Well, like I said, the likelihood is that long term our business won't do that well, right? Or we may have to close down. And yeah, and that's not really what I mean. That's not really direction I want to go, because I was quite excited by this business. I mean, this is the second business that I've run. First one actually I closed down, and when I started this, it was quite exciting, because I felt that it was something we could bring to the market that could serve the market, right? And I was quite excited by that proposition. Um, it aligns with what I want, right? And I mean, the whole reason why I did this, and I do training and I do coaching, is because I feel that it's to serve certain groups of people, right? It's to help people, it's to help bridge some gaps for people. And that that gives me a lot of motivation and satisfaction, right? So I want the business to do that as well, not just in the individual things that I do. Right? The business should support that dream as well. And I think it can. It just needs to change a little bit, and yeah, to be able to spot differently.
Yeah, just want to acknowledge you for being someone who starts a business to want to really help more people and serve people. Yeah, and earlier you mentioned the word align with what you want. Tell me more.
But to me, what's important, um, at least what I see myself doing in the next, well, 10, 20 years maybe before I retire, is I'm at this stage of my life and my career where I feel that I have a lot to, I have some experience, I have some knowledge where I can help people, right? And it could be different things, right? And that's why I built skill sets around the ability to help people in different things. Um, I do I do want the things that I do to make a difference to people, right? And to have an impact in their lives, and to, so I mean, I don't go into things thinking that, I'm going to make money from this. It's not really the driving. Of course, we need to make money lah. I mean, I still got bills to pay. I still got children to feed lah. So, but that's not the driving force. The driving force for me is that I can see that it helps people to do things that they wanted to do. I mean, I had a client, one of my earlier clients, who engaged us as a business to run her programs. So she spent 1 year trying to build her program, but she didn't know what to do with it. Right. And what we did was we took it and we ran webinars for her. We ran a whole series of webinars, got people into her workshops. So she sold a few rounds of her workshop. She got people to sign up for her coaching programs and that kind of thing. And she was so happy because she sat on it for one year, not knowing how to start doing anything, how to get it in front of people. And when we finished that whole run, she was really happy that she managed to get it out. And to me, that really said something about what we did. Right? I mean, it was money for us. I mean, it was some money for us, right? But for her, it was like a baby, right? Her baby finally came out. It she finally managed to get her program out. And that, I think, made a lot more difference for her. And being part of that process and being able to do that was a lot more satisfying, right, than just thinking about the revenue. And that's really where I'm coming from. Right? So I do feel that, yes, I mean, it needs to be a win-win situation. We all need to benefit from it. But I do feel that it's being able to help people, take that step forward that really makes a difference. It's the same feeling I get when I do coaching, right? To be part of that process where, people suddenly see, that hey, there's something else that I could have considered. There's something else I could have done. Like there's, and just knowing that you were part of that process, that that like I said, that really aligns to what I want to do.
Thank you for sharing. Besides finding more people to talk to and going back to the market, what other options do you have?
Hmm. Not sure actually. Um, yeah, I'm not sure actually. Yeah.
If all unsureness ceases to exist, what do you think you will do differently?
Hmm. Can't visualize that.
No problem. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, okay. Not at this time. I can't see it. So
Yeah, no
very
problem.
hard to visualize the fact that I'm not sure about something.
Okay, so at this moment in time, will you be able to share what are you learning so far?
Well, I'm learning that I need to find something that aligns to what I want to do. And um, that I need to go and search for it. And so I need to, yeah. I mean, we talked about talking to people and looking at the market, and perhaps there are other ways that I can't think of now. But I think it's, I think more importantly, it's about being proactive to go and look at it. Uh, yeah. If not, I don't think it's just gonna come to me like this, lah. Yeah.
Who can keep you accountable?
Uh, I guess my business partner. Yeah, makes the most sense because he's also got skin in the game, lah.
What resources or support do you think you need?
Don't need much, lah. I think I just need. I mean, at this point in time, probably just time. I just need to find people and time to sit down and talk to them and do some research, or or just find out what's available in the market in terms of trainings and that kind of thing.
Mhm. I'm curious, do you have a criteria or a list of things that you need to see in order for you to be sure?
Actually, I don't. I think I go by feeling a lot.
How has that served you?
It served me well, actually. I've had this. Okay, I mean, throughout my entire career, I've had moments where uh, it's like the stars align, right? Then everything becomes clear, and it's happened to me a few times. And in those moments, I realized that You know, it's just like that. You know, everything made sense. But I must say they're not often lah, right? And so I'm wondering whether it's maybe I should be waiting for that or just apply some logic and build something in this in the meantime lah.
Okay. So in light of the time that we have today, Tim, is there anything else you'd like to say about this topic before we close the session?
No, I think I'm good.
Thank you so much. Would this now be a good time to close the session?
Yes, it would. Thank you very much, Sam.
Tim, thank you for your time. Yeah.